Ola,
Okay.
thank you for coming on today. I think your story is very inspirational. And 9 years ago to come to the United States with $180 in your pocket, now you're doing this investment company. I think it's a great story. Could you take a few seconds to kind of give us your background of why the United States and how you got here and how you got started?
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Joe. I really, really appreciate you having me on the show. It's my absolute pleasure to be here and share my story. I like to, tell my story the same exact way, because I remember actually, a few years ago listening to podcasts and somebody comes on and they say, hey, I've got a bajillion,
Yeah.
assets under management. And I'm like, I can never relate to this guy, right? Because there's no context, right?
Right.
So I like to give context and kind of a background so people can actually, connect the
Yep.
dots, right? I
Sure.
think that's
Yeah.
really important. I don't want that to be lost in translation, right? So came to the United States, my wife and I, shortly thereafter, kind of got into the system, got jobs, had a fancy luxury apartment. This was in Maryland at the time. I want to
Okay.
just kind of give some touch points. So we're in Maryland,
Right.
and I got a job. She had a job. We had money. I was like, okay, this is good. Like, I wake up, go to work, come back, do it again, wake up, go to work, traffic on my way back, do it again. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
this is nice, but there's gotta be something else to this. The American dream is pretty, predictive.
Yeah. Now
Give me something else, right?
What job did you have?
So
What job did you take?
was a business analyst role, a senior business analyst role,
Okay.
basically, helping to build software, right?
Okay.
So I was like, there's gotta be something more to this, right? So kind of when I was pondering that thought, a friend of mine called me from the UK, and he said, hey, Ola, can you meet me in Dubai? I'm going to be in Dubai, speaking with some investors, can you help come over with my business? Because I know you're very good at strategic, initiatives of businesses. So come and mastermind with me. The reason I'm telling this story is because success never comes in a golden box with a red ribbon around it. That was
You'd be
the
waiting
call
a
that
long
changed
time,
everything.
right? Yeah.
You'll be wearing quite a bit.
Yeah.
I could have said to my friend, "Oh, go away. I'm not gonna come to Dubai." I mean, this was years ago, right? This was pre-pandemic, ages ago, 5, 6, 7. I can't remember now. But I said, okay, let me, I kind of did what a wise man does. I prayed about it and I spoke to my wife, like, hey, my friend said I should fly to Dubai. I'm paying for the flights, by the way, very important. She's like, wait, what? Can you not just do a Zoom call?
Yeah.
Or, FaceTime or whatever? And I was like, well, what if I go on this trip and I learn something, right?
Yeah.
So in any case, long story short, I was on the plane to Dubai. Got to Dubai, was in an hotel room with my friend for about 3-4 days, just masterminding on his business, property investing business in the UK. So on my way back on the plane, I was like, hold on a second. I've just helped my friend with his business. I probably could do this in America, right? Got back to the United States, went to my other best friend and said, hey, Google, what the heck is real estate?
Yeah.
Just started from the bottom, like, what is real estate? Like, started Googling, stumbled upon biggerpockets.com. Anybody that does not know that website should go check it out.
Bigger Pockets is great. Yeah.
Started listening to all the podcasts, just like, Joe's podcast here. Started listening to every single episode. And then there was a book, pay attention, that kept coming up as a recommendation from every guest. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Oh, yeah.
So therefore, I went to my next best friend, Amazon.
Yeah.
And I got that book. I read that book quickly. Now, for those that are not paying attention, I'll help you quickly. The first thing was I got a call. I followed through with that call. The next thing, I wanted to start real estate, but I didn't know anything about it. I went to Google. The third thing was I didn't know much enough. I still read a book. So all of these things are nuanced, but I want to super highlight it, right? Because that's how you get success. Yes, it's not going to come to you, right? You live in the 21st century. You have Google. You can watch literally brain surgery on YouTube. Okay, so there's no excuse to not be able to learn anything. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
Anyway, after I read
how much time did this take you to do this research?
So this is probably in the timeline, like probably 6 months, right? So after I finished this book, I've been listening to podcasts. I bought our first deal, my wife and I, was a duplex in Baltimore, Maryland, Class A area in like 6 to 7 months after that trip from Dubai.
Wow. Okay. So you went pretty quickly.
Pretty quickly. Obsessive, right? Obsessive, right? But somebody might go, yeah, but all of that's really good. I can hear someone, Joe, listening to this podcast on the way to work saying, yeah, but Ola, you're saying that, but you had money. I did not. But one thing that I do have is I live in the best country of the planet. And I've lived on 3 continents, by the way. So believe me, this is the best one. If you don't believe me, try where I was born.
Yeah.
Trust me, it's a lot better. Yeah. Anyway, the reason I say we live in the best country is if you are a first-time home purchaser in the United States, there's something called the FHA. Requires you to put 3.5% down to buy your first home. That's how we got started, right? So we did not have money. We, meaning my wife and I, we didn't have money too. Right, literally came here with nothing. Like my wife said, we have like 1A. Yeah, can't remember. So we didn't have money too. So for anyone having that excuse, we didn't have money too. So we bought that duplex, and I remember I had this epiphany. Right, we're living in this duplex, so my wife and I stayed at the bottom, and we had this 2 tenants upstairs. They were paying, pretty much the mortgage.
Right. Yeah.
I got the first rent, and I was like, oh my goodness, somebody actually paid us rent. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, but I want to highlight something, right? Before we bought that duplex, we were living in a luxury apartment, right? In Columbia, Maryland, which is like an hour from Baltimore, Maryland, where we bought the duplex. And when I was in the luxury apartment, I obviously didn't have to care about what day they took the trash. I don't care about property taxes. I don't care if anything breaks in that apartment. I just called them at the office. Hey, come and fix your thing. Like what's that thing called? The sink is broken. I didn't care.
Yeah.
And I could park anywhere, come home anytime. But when we bought that duplex, could never find parking because now we're in Baltimore City. Right. I had to know what property taxes were. Right. I had to fix anything that broke in our units and the tenants upstairs. Yeah. Literally adulting. Right. So the reason I'm highlighting this is you will get uncomfortable on this journey towards success. Yeah. You are going to get uncomfortable. This is not a, easy ride. You're going to get uncomfortable. So welcome that state. It's okay to be uncomfortable. Right. So anyway, we did this, we literally were just getting, cash flow every month. So we're at night, we're home at night one day, my wife and I doing what couples do, right? After work, cooking. And I was like, baby, I've got so much money in my account. And she's like, me too, because we're not paying rent anymore.
Right, yeah.
And so we're like, oh my goodness, like if we did 5 more of this, literally just do the same thing 5 times, we won't need a job. Yeah. Bingo. We were like, oh my goodness. Now, a smart person would have just gone, bought a second duplex. I didn't. I met a partner that said, hey, Ola, let's go flip some houses down the street.
But you guys couldn't use the 3% again, though, right? For the FHA? You couldn't use it a second time.
No, we could not. Right. Yeah, we could not. Just one time. Yeah. So anyway.
But you had money to put down, bigger down payment now.
Of course, we would have, 20%, whatever, or we have to save up, tighten our belts, right?
You bet. Amazing how much water costs when you're paying for it, isn't it? You're like, I had no idea when I was renting. Water, trash, yeah.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. So I did some flip project. But actually, before I started flipping, I said to myself, hold on a second, maybe I can do this at a bigger scale. So I reached out, I was listening to a podcast, and this guy was buying apartment buildings, right? $5, $10, $20 million worth apartment buildings. I was like, oh my God, this guy's like, who is this guy?
What I want to do.
And I'm like, this seems a lot better than duplexes, right? Yeah. Of course, I had no idea. So at the end of the podcast, when the host says, oh, can you give out your information? People can reach out to you. The guy was like, oh yeah, I'll give up, my number. Nobody's going to call me. So obviously, I called him and said, "Hey, hello, I'm Mr. Nobody, and yeah, whatever you charge for your your mentoring or coaching program, I cannot afford it. Okay, right? Just give me a payment plan. Pay attention for those listening to this. You don't have to pay an exorbitant amount of money to someone, and if you think the person is worth it, that's a different conversation for a different podcast. Then ask for a payment plan if you're going to put in the work, right? Yeah. yes, you can get free mentoring. I think, Joe, you mentioned that. Of course, you can get free mentoring or go volunteer for someone. You don't have to pay, but I'm just giving you different options. I asked
Right.
for a payment plan because I couldn't afford that guy.
Yep.
And he gave it to me.
Okay.
Okay.
Doesn't
Yeah, there
happen
you
very
go.
often. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't ask, you don't get, right?
Right. Yeah.
These are all acts, by the way. I'm not just saying this to like, make your listeners laugh or whatever. These are things you can also do, right?
Yep.
So I was on that mentoring program. That's instead of me following through the program to get to my first apartment building, I got the shiny object syndrome, right? And then I met this partner and started flipping. So I'm going to stop there, Joe. I know there's a lot in there.
Yeah, that's when you get into that shiny object syndrome, that can be a tough one.
Yes. So, that was a big life lesson for me. So I kind of strayed away from my apartment building cohort community to go flip houses. I think I was watching too much Joanna Gaines and Chip on HGTV.
It's a pretty good show, though. I was down there and went to Waco and saw that. I loved it. I was like, but it was incredible.
I love that show. I love Joanna Gaines and Chip. They're amazing. They're just
great. They make it look awfully easy.
They do. That's the thing. They make it look so easy. So I flipped a few houses and I was like, no way, this is not for me. I'm a perfectionist. I would go there and drive the contractors crazy. They have not painted the corners right. And I was there every day covered in dust with them. I wasn't giving them any autonomy because so it was just not for me. But this is the life lesson. Yeah. That took me 2 years away from my path. Yeah. So by the time I got back to my cohort, it was a Facebook group for the most part. All my friends were buying 100-unit buildings, but I've lost 2 years trying to flip, less than $1 million properties, right? And the reason I'm telling people is when you get into this game, it doesn't matter what you pick, note investing, apartments, buy and hold, flip, whatever. When you find something that you like, it's okay to fully commit. I understand you want to try this, try that, like, oh, this is like a good deal. This is like a good strategy, but force yourself, even till this day. People reach out to me and say, Ola, you want to invest in this? I'm like, I just want to stay in my lane because I need to be fully committed to this. Yeah. So I lost that time, but I was able to catch up because what I did, which I think, folks that want to get into apartments should do, is to partner up with someone that's doing this. So if you want to get into the game, it doesn't matter even if it's apartment investing, if you want to buy a single family home or whatever, you want to do flips or you like to do buy and hold, find someone in your local area and partner up with them. Maybe you have some cash, invest with them, stay in the truck with them, drive around with them, right? So you kind of like, osmosis, just like learn from them,
How did you find that person?
So that, they were part of my group, right? Buying apartments. So they were part of so this time I was in, Baltimore, right? Maryland at the time. And they were buying in Houston, Texas. So they bought this deal and I was like, oh my goodness, I did my underwriting, analyzed the deal, looked at the submarket, the rent comes, the list velocity in that submarket. And I was like, oh my God, like, I don't see this in Baltimore, like trying to look at apartments in Baltimore. So Joe, guess what I did? I told my wife, hey, the job at the bank that you work every day, quit that job and come with me to Texas. So we packed our bags, moved from Baltimore, Maryland to Houston, Texas, where I am right now.
Okay.
And the reason I'm telling folks is, we can give ourselves so many different excuses, like one of which for me could be like, oh, I don't want to leave Baltimore, because it's so close to the UK. If you want to go back home to London, it's fast. I was like, no, this is where the opportunity is. It's in Texas and some Bell states right now for apartments. Let's move. So I moved, Joe, believe this or not, I'm no clairvoyant, 2 months before the shutdown. We literally moved from Maryland to Houston in January of 2020. And everybody knows what happened in March of 2020. The whole world shut down. The whole world shut down. So we moved at the perfect time, because if we didn't move then, God knows what, if we'd still be in Maryland, right? And after moving to Texas, like we've bought like 200 units. So I'm not just saying like we moved and like, no, it worked. So if you're somewhere right now, you're in New York City, or you're like in a very tough to find deal kind of market, like maybe some parts of California, you can move. You like, my favorite quote from Jim Rohn is like, you're not a tree, you can
back
move.
up.
So move if you have to.
Yeah, we're seeing, I'm in Los Angeles actually, so we're seeing a good number of investors that are just like, okay, let's look for something out of state. And because we're getting a lot of regulations coming into play now too. So yeah, you're right on. You can look everywhere, but finding the right property management. Do you guys self-manage then too, correct? Or do you have property management?
No, we have a third party property
Okay,
manager.
good.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of work.
Yeah,
A lot of
it's
work.
we own property. We actually sold out of all of our multifamily in Texas just under a year ago. And reason being is I love multifamily, but the offers that came in, Ola, I was like, I mean, our idea was we had our last building was a 73 unit. It was on an acre and some odd, and it was just a poor layout. So we were going to demo the whole thing and then add about 30% more units, rebuild. Well, the offers that came in were right about where we'd had to go through all that work and all that risk. We're like, okay, good. And then we bought Chase Banks, Jack in the Boxes, that kind of stuff, just to kind of hold, because Texas multifamily. How are you sourcing your deals there right now?
Yeah, so great question. Most of our deals is through broker relationships, right?
Yep.
And that's
Okay.
obviously I kind of have, the local touch of the market. A
Yep.
lot of the brokers are my friends. We go out to eat. I know them, I know their wives by name, so I think that's also like a bit of a different advantage, is not only being in the market locally, but
Right.
having a deep relationship with the broker. So right now we're actually looking at a couple of deals that we're definitely going to take down in this market as well, in
Sure.
Houston and south of Houston. So I think that really helps because we get what we call the off market deals, before they get blasted out.
Yeah, you definitely need to have those relationships or be calling property owners yourself. Now, what is your asset code? So are you class A, B, C? What do you guys focus on?
Yeah, right now we're in the C2B space.
Okay.
Obviously, in the future, we will be graduating into A, class deals where, our investors are just looking for a really good, a low risk profile asset. So that's kind of what we're aspiring to do. But at this point, we're willing to get dirty, do some value add projects, and really, hopefully, almost 2x our equity multiple for our investors. That's kind of what we're focused on right now.
Okay. All right. Now, what are you focused just around Houston right now?
So actually, one of our deals is in north of Austin.
Okay.
So like an hour, it's kind of a secondary tertiary market, Killeen,
Oh, yeah.
where Fort Hood is. Yeah. So one of our problems. So we like that Central Texas and Houston and surrounding areas. We usually stay away from DFW for the most part. So it's a crazy.
Yeah, that's where we're at, is DFW. And it's just, the prices they're getting are just, we keep
unsustainable.
I just am like, how can this keep? I mean, we keep a corporate condo there, so I'm going back and forth every month. But the amount of traffic over the last few years, and I've been doing this for years. I'm not one of those Californians that just packed up. We've been there 9 years, 10 years maybe. And so, but I've seen the changes, and I tell you, it used to take us 15 minutes to get to our first property. Now it's 50. So
wow.
Yeah. And so it's traffic, restaurants. I think you guys are in a right spot. I don't know the Houston market, but Dallas workforce housing is going to be something they're going to be dealing with, because they're converting a lot of A is being built. And, workforce housing is going to be tough because the rents just keep going up and up and up.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's exactly what we're seeing as well. And, what I like to say is, at the end of the day, these folks are working in Starbucks and, at some point in time, right? Like, where's this rent growth going to be coming from? Right. So
how long can
we as investors, exactly. We have a, I don't want to say moral responsibility, more of a fiscal responsibility to make sure that we are being in touch with the market, including the demographics of our markets. I think that's really important.
Yeah, it's very important. What kind of, do you guys have a focus on certain amenities?
Yeah. So with our latest deal, actually, what we did was we, incorporated like a dog park. We had a barbecue area and kind of, freshen up the outdoor space. We usually try not to have apartments that have too many amenities right now, especially, like with the B and C class properties. Some of them are underutilized. Of course, as you get into kind of like the A-class properties, you want to have the gym, you want to have all that, but usually we just keep it kind of relatively easy to maintain, because that obviously helps your OPEX, which is above the NOI line.
Yeah. So how many now, what were you guys with? What number of units do you guys have right now in your portfolio?
So I'll say I've been involved in probably about 600 units in total. We bought about 200 last year alone. So pretty much we're looking to triple that number this year. Hopefully, it's March now, and we're looking at a couple of deals that we're looking to take down. So hopefully we'll hit that target.
Yeah. And now, Dwellin, why don't you tell us a little bit about your company?
Yeah, sure. So Dwellin, we like to, consider ourselves a real estate private equity firm. Really our focus, like I said, is, value add, repositioning assets, kind of a heavy asset management perspective from acquisition to disposition. Our bread and butter is apartments. We have other asset classes that, we are looking to get into, but our focus is apartments.
Okay. How do you think the interest rates going up are going to affect you guys?
Yes, so I mean, that's been a really interesting debate. So obviously, for those who don't know, the Feds hiked the rates, I think a couple of weeks ago, 25 basis points.
May 4th, they're going to go up half.
Actually.
That's getting some of the multifamily guys. Wait a second. In California, I'm talking about.
So that is definitely, I mean, I think interestingly, actually, on the buy side, obviously your underwriting assumptions are radically different. But I think on the sell side for sellers, I think it's us as on the buy side, we're looking to sell as well, of course. But on the buy side, we're obviously educating the brokers to educate the sellers, like, hey, your expectations need to be in line with what's going on in the market. You're not going to be getting the pandemic numbers, right? Because obviously the pandemic actually helped, believe it or not, the multifamily industry, because folks were in the house. So I think that there's been a direct correlation with the Fed rate hike and price expectation on the sell side. So we're constantly making sure that as we're looking at new deals, we're obviously baking those numbers in our underwriting. Obviously, the Fed has said that they would continue to hike the rates. So we're also
6 times,
exactly. So we're projecting that into our numbers as well as we look at exiting in the future. So that is really forefront for us just across the board.
Now, how long do you guys like to hold?
Typically 3 to 5 years is what we like to do. But sometimes, if we get a preemptive offer and it's like you mentioned, and it's a really good offer, we'll take it. And obviously, if it satisfy our investor returns, and obviously we've implemented our value add. Usually we try to leave some meat on the bone for the next girl or guy coming after us. So we'll definitely take it. But for the most part, 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, I'm assuming you're probably getting off market deals that they're just pitching you, because that's what happened to us. We did not have ours on the market, and we were just going to sit. But when those offers came in, we're like, well, this is kind of a no-brainer. It makes us look very intelligent when it's pure luck that we just happen to be in an area that was changing very quickly. So
exactly.
Well, Ola, thank you very much. I know you're a busy guy, so why don't we, tell me a little bit about your podcast, first of all.
Yeah, definitely. So the Dwellin Show, it's our podcast. It's very similar to what you're doing, Joe. We obviously, most people that listen to podcasts are trying to get into the game or newer. So, Grant Cardone is not listening to my podcast, I don't think, so we're trying to help. I doubt it.
He'll reach out to you and sell you something. He'll sell you a class or something. I should have said that. Oh, well, yeah.
So we like to educate folks that are looking to get started, in the real estate game, and obviously all folks that want to invest in multifamily to learn more about the space. So feel free to check it out, the Dwellin Show, or just Google my name, Ola Dantis.
Well, I'll put the link. I'll put the link to it. So I'll make sure they have your contact information, your company contact information, and your podcast link. So, but Ola, thank you. What a great story. I love these stories where somebody comes here with nothing and, no excuses, just head down. Let's make a living. And obviously you found a very patient wife that trusts you. cherish the hell out of that, right? And
I know.
yeah, it's with your two children, it's incredible. Your whole story is actually incredible. So thank you for sharing it today.
No, my pleasure. Thank you so much, Joe, for having me. Appreciate you, sir.
You bet. And for those of you watching, make sure you check out the video, give us a like, and if you haven't done yet, make sure you subscribe.